Good evening, members, and welcome to this meeting of the District Development Management Committee. For the record and the webcast, my name is Councillor Paul Kesker and I am chairman tonight. My vice chairman to my right is Tim Matthews. To his right is Gary Woodall from Democratic Services, and at the end is Steve Mitchell, who is dealing with the webcast. Amy Buckley is somewhere out in the ether controlling the whatever's going to come up. And on our left we have the very august Director of Development, Nigel Richardson, who is here to make sure that we follow all the rules. Right, Gary, would you start with the webcasting introduction, please?
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to remind everyone present that this hybrid meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing or other such use by third parties. Therefore, by participating in this meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings for webcasting and/or training purposes. If any public speakers on Microsoft Teams do not wish to have their image captured, they should ensure that their video setting throughout the meeting is turned off and set to audio only. Please also be aware that if technical difficulties interrupt the meeting that cannot be overcome, the chairman may need to adjourn the meeting, and members are reminded to activate their microphones before speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Number 2 is advice for public and speakers, but we don't have any tonight.
Surprisingly, Chairman, we have no public speakers for tonight's item.
Apologies for absence.
Chairman, we have apologies from Councillors Baldwin, Kaufman and Chris Pond.
Thank you. And number 4, substitute members. Do we have any substitute members?
We do. We have Councillor Nweke here tonight in place of Councillor Baldwin.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to DDMC. Number 5, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? Yes. Councillor, I'm going to say Whitbread, Whitehouse.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I live quite close to the site in St John's Road, but I think for this application it's not a pecuniary interest, and therefore I'll be staying and voting.
Okay, that's fine. Minutes. Members, pages 7 to 12 are the minutes of the 19th of April and the 28th of June. You've all, I hope, been able to see and read those minutes. Do I have your approval to sign them as a true record? Well, thank you. 7, site visits. I don't think we're going to need any site visits tonight. So we'll go on to number 8. Number 8 is section 106, deed of variation, pages 13 to 20 in your agendas. I believe Nick Finney is going to take us through this on Teams or Zoom or something.
Thank you, Chair. Hopefully you can see me and you can see my shared screen. This proposal relates to a deed of variation to the cross-site Section 106 agreement that was agreed on the 5 Epping Town Centre development projects. The Town and Country Planning Act provides for the ability to revise Section 106's at any future point, if agreed between the two parties, us, the local planning authority of Epping Forest being one determining party and the applicant being the other. So it's not a planning application per se, it's a variation of a previous legal agreement. Those applications obviously came before committee previously, so given that and the nature of the applicant, it's appropriate to report this amendment back to committee. I'll start with some a recap on the schemes. So the Epping 5 sites, hopefully you can see the plan on the screen across the town centre. They are the land at St John's Road, Epping Sports Centre, existing sports centre site on Hemnall Street, the Cottage Lane car park and the Bakers Lane car park, and the Civic Offices site, or also known as the Conda building. These 5 applications were submitted by Qualis Commercial Limited in parallel with each other, and therefore considered at the single planning committee, which was on the 27th of October 2021. Certain matters across the site were considered holistically, and therefore, while each site had its own Section 106 legal agreement relating to the obligations for each development, there was also a cross-site Section 106 legal agreement where certain matters had to be considered across the sites and obligations controlled in that way. All of the sites were allocated for development in the local plan. So, as I mentioned, there's an overarching Section 106 legal agreement. There was a particular, the number of issues were covered, but the issue we're talking about tonight was a linkage between delivery on the Bakers Lane site for a new leisure centre and the development of the St John's Road site. This linkage was established to remedy a non-compliance with the local plan, which is that the Bakers Lane site was allocated in the local plan for residential development and the St John's Road site was allocated for commercial development. If each development came forward in an uncontrolled, independent way, the outcome could have been that housing supply that was identified on the Bakers Lane site would not come forward in the future, and we would therefore be looking at a loss of housing provision. So the decision was taken to link the sites and enforce to ensure that housing was delivered on the St John's Road site in due course, and the number of units was set at 78 dwellings, and that's because the Cottis Lane site and the Bakers Lane site had a dual allocation, and that was the total housing that could be provided on one or the other, or in total. So the legal obligation included a clause on that the Bakers Lane site development could not commence beyond some initial enabling works prior to substantial implementation of 78 dwellings on the St John's Road site. And the definition of substantial implementation was set at construction of buildings to first floor level, so quite advanced level of construction of that many units. Subsequently to that decision, Collis have obviously commenced work on Cottis Lane, they've commenced work on the civic offices site, condo building site for housing, and it was established that the Epping Forest District Council was going to take forward the Bakers Lane Leisure Centre for delivery. At the time of the applications, they were all submitted by Collis, and it wasn't 100% agreed at that point who would be delivering the leisure centre. That's now been taken forward by Epping Forest District Council via their leisure service providers. At the current time, Epping Forest District Council would like to commence work on the leisure centre development. They have appointed a contractor and they are keen to progress that project. While at the same time, Collis are also progressing the St John's Road development. It is not at the advanced stage of development that was originally anticipated, and we've therefore got to the situation where the St John's Road development is holding back development of the Bakers Lane Leisure Centre. Just a quick recap on the two sites. So this is the Bakers Lane Leisure Centre proposal that was approved, and this is the St John's Road residential development which was approved. So it's currently proposed to maintain the cross-site linkage in the agreement, but to modify this to better align with the current understanding of the programme, and therefore allow the positive benefit of the new Epping Leisure Centre to go ahead. It's proposed in the legal agreement to replace the words substantial implementation with committed delivery, and the definition of committed delivery would be completion of all demolition works and site clearance necessary to carry out the St John's Road permission, and the completion of contracts to commence the development. And as obviously site clearance work has been undertaken, and we understand that Collis will shortly be agreeing contracts for the first phase of development, and this is obviously showing intent to take that forward and deliver a residential development. So we believe the intent has been shown that residential development will be brought forward in the short term on the site via those preparation works, via the preparation of detailed design work, and Qualis have been discharging pre-commencement conditions on the site to allow development to proceed. So while a stricter form of control was originally found appropriate, the progress on the site demonstrated by Collis and the revised information on the respective development programmes provides a material basis to consider a change to the wording to ensure development commence. So our recommendation is to approve the deed of variation by varying the wording to replace substantial limitation with committed delivery. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I can't say that I've heard the term committed delivery before, but I've no doubt the lawyers have ensured that is lawful and will be useful in this occasion. Right, members, who would like to start? I'll start with John Whitehouse. He's the closest.
Thanks, Chairman. Yes, I remember asking a question about this bit of the Section 106 when this was last considered, because it obviously did produce a risk of the sites not being in sync. So I'm not surprised that we find ourselves in this position. I mean, clearly it's undesirable to have the leisure centre site held up because Qualis aren't progressing as quickly as anticipated. So I think it's right to agree the variation. My one reservation is most of that site in St John's Road has been derelict and unused since 2009, and this risks it being derelict for even longer than it otherwise would. And I think it is incumbent on the council and Qualis to make sure that progress is not delayed any more than it absolutely has to be.
Okay, understood. Councillor Hadley?
Thank you, Chair. Doesn't the word committed delivery imply a timescale somewhere along the line, or is that dealt with somewhere else?
Mr Finney?
Any words in the Section 106 agreement is subject to the definition in the Section 106 agreement and doesn't have a wider meaning. So the definition is that which I read out earlier.
Councillor Hadley?
Yeah, just so committed could mean in 100 years' time, couldn't it?
Mr Finney, you've heard the comment. It may be committed, but it may not be. It may not be started.
That's always the case with planning permissions. It's not enforced. It's not always enforced that a developer has to proceed with that development. So the matter here is a balance to whether we think the developer is showing intent to bring that forward, and currently that's how the evidence suggests that they are.
Okay, thank you. Nigel, would you like to comment? I think this is,
thanks.
This is high policy here.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. I think there is more of a commitment that when this legal agreement was first drawn up, development started out on site now, and I think also to make it clear that if this doesn't go through tonight, my understanding is that this could delay the leisure centre starting as much as a year beyond where they're at, and it means it's we've heard from Councillor Whitehouse talking about sites being kept vacant. Then this the leisure centre Bakers Lane site could be, and our concern is that residents may well feel that that's not secure enough for them. I mean, there's obviously the worry of the increase in construction and project costs, and, you know, through further delays. And, yeah, so, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but we feel in this case there is enough justification and the very fact work has commenced on these, at least two of the developments, means that we as officers can support this.
Anything? Do you want to come back on that matter, Councillor Hadley, and then we'll go on?
Presumably it's going to be monitored on a regular basis to see if they are committed to the extent that we would think they should be.
Yes, I mean I mean it's a town centre location, so we can keep on top of that. Yes.
Okay, Councillor Kane.
Yes, taking in consideration that the decisions were made 3 years ago, and things have changed, you know, and everything has gone up, the prices, things like that. Is there a way that we condition that they will start the work as soon as possible, or do we have no powers on that?
Nigel?
I think, well, the original conditions are still there on the planning permission. This is purely just a variation to the legal agreement, so we can't impose conditions like that now at this stage.
Yeah, come back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It is just the commitment. I just wanted to say that there are no risk factors of not being any commitment or any other variations.
Well, do you want to come back on that one again, Nigel? No, I
well,
don't.
again, yeah. I mean, I can't add any more what I said before. We can only go by what's in the legal agreement and in the conditions, but we as planning officers can't force things to happen, whether it actually takes place on site or not.
I think the pressure should come from members directly to Qualis. And that, I think, is going to do us more good than anything in the wording. If we hold Qualis to this, I think that's what it's all about. Anyone else like to speak on this? Well, members, there is a very minor change in terms of words. It's from, as I understand it, substantial implementation to committed delivery. And we're being asked to approve that change. No one else wishes to speak. We'll go straight to a vote. All those in favour, please show.
I do believe that's unanimous, Chairman.
I think it probably is. Thank you. So there's no one against and no one abstaining. Thank you, members. I think this is important to get this through, and we certainly don't want to hold up the project. We really don't. So in which case, have we any other business?
No, Chairman, we don't.
In which case, I close the meeting at, no, I haven't quite made it, the record, have I? It's 8:18, I believe.
7:18, Chairman.
7:18. Oh, I'm giving him an hour talking